In the quiet town of Sorrow's Edge, the ghostly melody of a forgotten lullaby returns, haunting a young woman named Claire, who becomes obsessed with unraveling its dark history. The town of Sorrow's Edge was a place where time seemed to stand still. Nestled amidst dense forests and shrouded in fog, it was not a town one found unless they were lost. It was in this eerie setting that Claire moved in, inheriting an old house that had once belonged to her great-aunt Agatha. The house, an imposing Victorian structure, was surrounded by a large wrought-iron fence. While the exterior seemed well-maintained, the interior told a different story. Faded photographs, antique furniture, and dust-covered books filled the space, painting a vivid picture of the past. Claire's first night was uneventful until she was awakened by a faint, haunting melody. It was soft, echoing through the hallways like a distant memory. The tune was unfamiliar but oddly comforting. Shaking it off as a dream, she fell back asleep. However, as days turned into weeks, the melody grew more pronounced. It would often start at the stroke of midnight and last till dawn. Curiosity piqued. Claire began searching for its source, but every time she thought she was close, it would fade like a mirage. Conversations with the townsfolk about the lullaby were met with hushed whispers and wary glances. An old man named Elias, who ran the local bookstore, finally shed some light. That lullaby, he began cautiously, has a history, one that's better left undisturbed. According to Elias, the lullaby was sung by a woman named Eleanor, who lived in Claire's house over a century ago. Eleanor was known for her enchanting voice, and she often sang to her infant daughter. Tragedy struck when both mother and child died mysteriously one fateful night. Since then, their spirits were said to haunt the residence, with Eleanor's lullaby echoing through its halls. Determined to find peace for the spirits, Claire delved deeper into the history of her home. She discovered a diary in the attic, bound in worn leather. It belonged to Eleanor. The diary chronicled Eleanor's life and love for her daughter. However, the entries grew increasingly frantic and disturbed. The last entry was particularly chilling. "He comes for her tonight. I must protect her even if it costs me my soul." Through more research, Claire learned of a dark figure in the town's history, a man named Lorien, who was rumored to dabble in the occult. He had taken a particular interest in Eleanor's child, believing her to possess unique abilities. The town believed Lorien intended to use the child in a ritual to gain unspeakable power. Connecting the dots, Claire believed that Eleanor had sung the lullaby as a protective charm against Lorien, and in doing so had bound her spirit to the house. One night, armed with this knowledge, Claire decided to confront the spirits. As midnight approached, she lit candles and sat in the nursery, where Eleanor used to sing. As expected, the lullaby began. Claire mustered all her courage and spoke aloud. "Eleanor, I know what you did. I'm here to help." The atmosphere grew cold, and a ghostly figure materialized before Claire. It was Eleanor, her eyes filled with sorrow. Behind her stood a shadowy figure, Lorien, his gaze menacing. Claire, undeterred, continued, "You've been trapped here because of Lorien. But together we can break the curse. Sing with me." Claire began humming the lullaby. Eleanor joined in, their voices harmonizing beautifully. As they sang, the room brightened, and Lorien's figure began to disintegrate. The protective power of the lullaby was amplified by their combined voices. As dawn approached, Eleanor's spirit, now free from Lorien's grasp, held the apparition of her child. They both smiled at Claire before fading away, leaving the house in a peaceful silence. Claire woke up, feeling a weight lifted off her shoulders. The haunting melody was gone, replaced by the chirping of birds outside. The town of Sorrow's Edge remained enigmatic, but for Claire, it had revealed one of its darkest secrets, and in the process, set two souls free. Julia and Michael, along with their teenage son Alex, moved into the grand Rainsford Manor, hoping to start anew. The house, though ancient, had recently been renovated by an unknown benefactor and was sold to them at an unbelievably low price. The first few days were dreamy. The family relished the vast spaces and intricate designs of their new home. However, Alex began hearing faint whispers whenever he was alone in his room. The words were indistinct. but the tone was desperate and pleading. Confused, he shared this with his parents, who dismissed it as the house settling in. But as the nights grew longer, the whispers turned into murmurs and then into clear, audible sentences. "Help us," they would moan. "Set us free." Determined to understand the source, Alex began to investigate the history of the manor. The town's library archives revealed that the Rainsford Manor was built on grounds that were once a burial site for accused witches during the dark days of witch trials. Legend had it that the souls of these innocent victims were trapped within the grounds, seeking redemption. One evening, as a storm raged outside, the whispers became deafening. Julia and Michael, too, began to hear the tormented voices. The walls seemed to pulsate, almost as if they were alive. Guided by the voices, the family was led to the grand fireplace in the main hall. Here they discovered a hidden chamber behind its vast facade. Within the chamber lay an old book, its pages filled with symbols and incantations. Realizing its significance, Julia, having studied ancient literature, began to read aloud a particular chant that promised to release trapped souls. The house trembled, the winds howled, and for a moment, shadows of the past danced around them. Women, wrongly accused, who had met a tragic end. As the chant reached its crescendo, a blinding light filled the room, and then, silence. The storm outside ceased, and the house was calm. The next morning, the atmosphere in the Rainsford Manor was lighter. The walls, once filled with the agonies of the past, were now just walls. The family had not only liberated the spirits, but also discovered a newfound appreciation for the sanctity of life and the importance of righting historical wrongs. However, as a token of gratitude, or perhaps as a gentle reminder, every now and then a soft whisper would float through the manor. Not one of agony or despair, but of thanks and eternal rest.